Hey everybody, in today's video I'm going to show you how you can use Power Query to do some parsing of data for you. In this example, I've downloaded a table from the internet that has some weird characters in the year. It's got parentheses, got all sorts of stuff that I want to get rid of. Now, doing this yourself through formulas can be a bit challenging because you've got not only special characters, you've got parentheses, sometimes you've got stuff in the front, and so and you've got negative values as well here. So it's got a whole series of things that you may want to adjust for that, doing it yourself through a formula maybe at the very least time consuming to do. But Power Query can make it a lot easier for you. And so what I'm going to do is go into the Data tab and select From Table or Range. So Excel is going to automatically detect my table. I'm going to hit OK. And it's going to launch Power Query and put that table in there. So I've got it in here, and the year is the main column, the main field that I'm going to focus on. I'm going to select it, right click, add column from examples. And so what that does is allow me to create a column, and basically Power Query is going to be looking at this particular column. And I'm going to enter the values that I'm going to say, okay, this is the correct value that I want from here. So we've got 2017, we've got these characters. I only want the value 2017. I hit enter. You can see Power Query starts to figure out a little bit of the pattern. It's got 2022 here, 2013. It hasn't got everything though. So I'm going to help it along as best as I can. So here, I just want 2022. Key that in, and just like that, it's starting to get a bit better. Now the next time a negative shows up, it's parsed out just that 2022. And here you can see exactly what that formula is doing. So even if you're not comfortable creating these types of formulas in Power Query, you can see sort of the logic of how it's setting that up. All right, so we've got 22. Looks good. Here we've got an issue because of these characters at the beginning. So again, I can double click into here, type in 2022. That's the value that I want. Oh, and now that's messed up some of the logic in these other ones. So because this is a bit of a complex example, Excel is going to need a bit of help here. So I'm going to go to 1999 for this one. Right, so this looks pretty good now. The main issue now is the ones that had multiple years. So let's say I just wanted this 2013. Type in 2013. And now this looks a whole lot cleaner. So 1994. So even though I've got these two values, it's taking the first one, 1999. The negatives aren't an issue. The characters aren't an issue. It's pulling in the right values. So it looks to be working well. The one drawback of this is obviously that you'd sort of have to spot check this to make sure that the values are correct. Unless you're comfortable looking at this complex formula, you can see it's got a special formula to parse out these specific characters and get rid of the years and do splits. So it's a complicated formula that Power Query has generated. So that's the challenge for you, is that it's parsed out, but is it going to capture every single instance? When you download this data set again, is it going to have a new character perhaps, right? In that case, you may need to go back here and adjust this once more. So that's the main caveat. But for simpler parsing situations, you can see how just entering a few examples can help Power Query do this for you. So I'm going to hit OK. And now I can load this back into Excel. And I don't want this year column here. So I'm going to remove that because that one's done. I don't need it anymore. And I'll rename this one year. And I'll even put it back in the same spot. So it looks like the same thing. And the reason this works in Power Query is because Power Query is basically like a macro recorder in the sense that it's recording all of your steps. It's going through and applying the same processes over and over again. It's not like an Excel formula where if you delete a column and your previous calculations depended on that column, it's going to result in an error. Power Query is recording those steps, so you're free to remove anything you don't need anymore. So if at the end I don't need that column anymore, I'm okay to remove it. So now I'm going to hit close and load. And now this is going to populate that same data set. So here I had this original data set. So it's converted to a table now with all these characters. But now Power Query's turned it into this. So now it's a lot more usable, a lot more helpful if I wanted to convert this into a pivot table or do calculations based on the year and that sort of thing. So by just going through Power Query and using that option to add a column from examples, you can tell Power Query basically the values that you want to extract from this, and it'll do its best to try to generate a formula on its own that'll work. The key thing really is making sure that, checking the data, making sure that it looks okay, that there aren't situations that it's missed. But other than that, Power Query can be your friend and help you with parsing data.